Holy shit, everyone. It is the 6th of May 2012 and this is AoM 101 episode 4, A Taste of Vanilla. What is up? Big shout out to DJ Spoofed right there. We know him as DOD Spoofed. You can check out his stuff at soundcloud.com/DJ-Spoofed. Just a quick couple of announcements in case some of you people don't know. RTS Sanctuary is going to be hosting a tournament, vanilla tournament, in the very near future. A very large prize pot for Age of Mythology. Be sure to check it out and tune in. It's going to be awesome. Anyhow, today we're talking about the original game and how we can transition from TT back to the original game, because there's such a massive difference in the games. We have the three biggies? I think it's three big things that are missing from Titans to Vanilla. The first one, which is massive in my opinion, is there's no auto queue. The second one is there's no shooting docks, and the third one is there's no classical town centers. What I'm going to do in this episode is I'm sort of just going to talk a little bit, and then we're going to get into some games and sort of view what some of the pros do and try and illustrate how you can use your Titan skills to transfer into AoM much easier. Anyhow, firstly, you've got to talk about auto queue, right? We need to learn how to macro without it. Sure, we're not going to be as efficient, but that's okay. The ways in which I macro, and I'm talking about myself because I only really know about myself and other people I've watched, and most people do it this way. They're gonna change the default hotkeys first. You never want to use the hotkeys first. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you guys my hotkeys. So we're in AoM right now. Notice the different screen. It's all blue and everything. It's much different. Okay, so in options, here's where you edit the hotkeys. We come in here and we've got all our groups. Now if we notice, we go to a Greek Academy unit training, right? We have the hoplites and we got the hypercists. I got Q and W. They're at the top of my keyboard on the left. So basically, I'm using a sort of grid layout whereby all of the portraits if I can show you in a game, all of the portraits lining up are like on my keyboard. So say the village is there, it's going to be Q. Say I throw down a temple, the Pegasus should be Q, I don't think it is, and anything along there would be WE, and you can set them up yourself. Okay, what's next? So that's a grid control, grid sort of thing for the hotkeys. You can do it however you want. Just make sure you do it how you want it, rather than what the default ones are, because it's really obnoxious how the default does it. Secondly, using control groups on your buildings. I don't know how many of you guys do this in the Titans, but it's really important to do so, right? Using control groups on your buildings, like your town center needs to have a control group, your military buildings need to have a control group, your market needs to have a control group, just so you can bounce around and do everything as best as possible, as quick as possible. So for example, my control group setup is control group 1 is a military building, control group 2 is another different military building. You can group the same military buildings into the one group. So say I was playing Zeus and I was doing an Athena rush, I'd have 1 as my military academy, 2 as my archery range, 3 as my town centers, 4 as my market when I get it, 5 through to 9 are military units. They're my army. So 5 would be my main army, 6 would possibly be my heroes, 7 would be a split up army, a force over a separate raid or whatever, for example. That's basically it there. Really it's just adapting and getting used to doing it. The next thing is the fact that you can do this, and when you get good at it, your view of the screen is going to be 95% of the time on your army. That's what you want to aim for, and that's sort of how I play. If you ever watch me play, I try and keep my screen on my army for the majority of the game, so I can micro, so I can be sure I'm doing something with my army. Okay, so shooting docks. What does it mean that there's no shooting docks? What does this mean for us as strategic RTS players? Right, shooting docks means that rushing is more viable. Fast heroics are less effective. They're not bad, but they're just less effective because you can't hold them to the sea as effectively. And you can't hold onto the water without producing boats. Like, I've seen people throw down 6 or 7 docks and have one fishing ship in each of the docks, and they can hold onto the water for an exponentially long time, like a very long time. But you can't do that as effectively. It's more of a delaying tactics. Like, as an Egyptian would spam like 5 docks and up a bit later, it's just a delaying tactic so that they can pump out boats and get back into the game and fight for the water. Classical town centres. What does this mean? We can't build classical town centres in the classical age, obviously. They can start building in the heroic age. What does this mean? It means getting to the heroic age is more important, right? Semi-fast heroics are more effective. Also, something a side note which most people don't realize, coming from Titans, is that economic upgrades are so much more important. They're like, I don't know, they just do something massive for you when you buy them. They're better in Nilla than in the Titans, because you can get those town centers instead of getting the upgrades, which is probably better because you can start building more villages, obviously. So that's what classical town centers. Some smaller things which you might not know from vanilla is free myth units. So basically means that there's no free myth units, so jumping ages fast is less effective. Like a fast mythic would be less effective in Nilla than in the Titans. Also, the cheaper favor on the myth units. The myth units are a lot more expensive in Nilla, which means that like myth unit based strategies are less effective. So, but like some of the main ones like Centaur raids and Sphinx Spams are still viable. They're not that much different. But Minor plus Tox, for example, is not effective at all. Anyhow, what I want to do is I want to jump into a couple of games, and I want to show you guys the importance of what I just said. Like, we're going to jump into a game of Magyar versus Flip. All right, it was a tournament game, and where is it? Right, which one is it? One. I'm going to say it's one. I think it's one. So this is going to be a very important like step, and it's going to be showing you guys the real importance of water and how shooting docks means so much more, and it's just so much different. All right. So here we have Magyar. He's playing Poseidon, and his opponent is obviously Flip, playing Isis. Both players at this point in the game, it's a while ago. This tournament was played a while ago, but at this point in the game, both of these players were 1900 2K sort of players, so it's a very high level. But what we're going to notice is we can't. We're just going to skip through until Classical Age. If you want to get the build order for this Poseidon game, you guys know how. Just download the recorded game or ask me for it, and I'll send it to you. No problems. But basically, we're going to see the water fight is going to be extremely early. It's going to be an early water fight, and the difference is that it's going to finish early as well. So I wish I could skip just to that, but hey well. We'll just continue watching and just making sure that everything's normal and what actually goes on. So obviously it looks like here Flip is going for a fast upgrade. It looks like it because he's got so little units on wood, villages on wood, and so little on gold or whatever. He's definitely going for a fast upgrade. However, Magyar also going for a fast upgrade. He's going to be advancing and hitting about 4 minute 5 seconds. So that's extremely fast, especially like, compared to Titans, whereby everything would be like 430 plus, because you want to have that extra economy. But in Nilla, it doesn't matter as much. You can get that economy a bit later. Okay, this is going to be the big point right here. In the Titans, if we built these docks right close to each other, it's good, because they're going to be shooting double the amount of dock fire, and they'll be able to hold on to this early areas rush, which is about to happen. So we see boats being produced now. Anubis just popped out. We have 2 boats here. In the Titans, what would happen? It would be fishing ship gathered, and then these 2 boats would essentially be ineffective, because all Flip would have to do would be to garrison his fishing ships into his dock, and then then these boats would start dying, right? So basically we see all of these boats coming out. He already has a 4 boat advantage over his enemy. That's something to note as well, because the faster you advance, the more boats you get out, the more easy it is to control the water, and the faster you can win the game. Anyhow, when Pestilence is going to finish right, we can't even hold on to a defender's advantage now, because the distance to rush is so short. It's like a 1 screen left. So defender's advantage is very, very minimal on the water as well. So from Flip's perspective, what we're going to see is he's going to start garrisoning his boats into his dock. And this is basically all he can do. Again, what we'll be having in the times in the docks will be shooting, so this will be less effective. However, it's Nilla, so it's more effective because there's no shooting docks. Now Flip's going to come out with his snakes and all this other junk, right? So right there, yes, that's pushed him away, but again, if it was Nilla, all these boats will be damaged and Flip will be able to push now. He has 6 boats to his enemy, who has roughly 10. So, but they'd all be damaged from the dogfight. So that's just one thing which is different. It's rushing is more important. So you really need to nail your build orders, get your build orders down for Mediterranean, and stuff like that. Things like on Anatolia and maps like that and Midgard, rushing isn't as important because it's a bit different, right? The water isn't as important. You can fast heroic, you can rush land because there's different land aspects, but you know, if you can win water, then you're always going to be at more of an advantage because they can't kill off your boats just by having one fishing ship there. So it's never a bad thing to go for water. That's what I'm trying to say. Again, I just want to go back and just say we're playing with auto queue without auto queue here. So basically, I want to say this is how Magyar has his. I don't know if it's how he has his control groups, but this is how I would have my control groups. My talent center is under 3. My first dog and my second dog are 1 and 2. This way, I can constantly be producing my boats without looking, and I can just be like, oh, I don't have a boat producing. I'll just hit my key to produce the trireme. Oh, my boat's not producing. I can just do that, and I can see everything pretty clearly just by cycling through. And he'd also have his triremes under a control group. Well, that's why I would have it right like that. So I could constantly jump around, jump straight back to my boats as fast as possible. Okay, this next game we're going to be going on about how it's another Magyar game because I'm in love with Magyar. I'm sorry guys, I don't exactly know how long ago it was, but it's also got Berserker in it, so I need to find where it is. There we go. I think this is it. So this is going to be a Zeus vs Isis game, right? And it's going to be showing the importance of getting to the heroic age, right? Getting to the heroic age. That's what's important about Nilla. It's not getting that second town center. Obviously, if you can gold block, that's awesome. But we're versing Isis, so that's always going to be hard. It's going to be getting to the heroic age and seeing what we can do there. So I kind of want to talk about a little bit about build order here because it's so important to nail these sort of build orders in order to get up. The map isn't quite favourable for Magyar as he doesn't have any hunters ladder, so he'll find this hunt but he won't find this next hunt. It's really spread out. So build order efficiency, this one would not be the best one to figure out a build order for, but anyhow. What we're going to be talking about is build order in the classical age, like templates for the classical age and points in the game for the classical age, stuff like that. We can also note that Berserker has a really nice gold mine over here that's easily to defend with the wall over here and wall over here, so we can't really gold star there, so we have to play for that classical age. He also has a relatively nice gold mine here. If he just throws a wall across here, then this would be protected quite easily. So there's 4 villages on the wood, pretty standard, 5 villages, 6 villages to the food, and then 3 villages over to gold. Pretty standard stuff. Obviously we're not going to be doing some form of rush so we can get pickaxe like he has. We'll be advancing a little bit later because of that though. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the importance of classical town centers and stuff like that. So, because there's no classical town centers, because we can't build a classical town center, we have to build it in the heroic age. We have to get to the heroic age, and after we get to the heroic age, we have to be safe getting to the heroic age, obviously. So we have to build an army. And when you get heroic age, we need to throw down the town centers as soon as possible, rather than we build one in the classical age at